So I've been a tequila drinker for years. I think I was looking for a spirit option that just fit into my healthier, more active lifestyle, being gluten-free for over 10 years. And I found that with really high quality tequila, I would feel better, than if I drank wine or things that had a lot of sugar in them the next day. And it just became my drink of choice. This was like a clean option. And I started discovering that so many women were telling me that they are also tequila drinkers. I thought, okay, all these women drink tequila. Why are brands not focused on this consumer?
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Living Well podcast. I'm Stephanie May Potter, and I'm here with my co-host, Marnie Dotches-Marmette.
We created the Art of Living Well podcast to empower you to live your happiest, healthiest, and most authentic life. Each week, we will bring you inspiring and motivating conversations covering health and wellness topics, including fitness, mindset, food, travel, product reviews, and strategies from a variety of experts, including our own bank of knowledge.
We are excited to educate, motivate, and inspire you to change the way you perceive health and discover your art of living well. Get ready to feel inspired.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Art of Living Well podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And before we dive into our episode, just a reminder that we would love to have you sign up for our health transformation audit, where we bring you, our community members, onto our show for a 15-minute experience where we guide you to identify what's holding you back from your ideal health and wellness. And we analyze with you so you can walk away with tangible action steps. As integrative health practitioners and health coaches, we love doing this kind of work with you. Check out some of our other episodes, episode 121, 126, 130, and 133 to hear from a few of our community members who have been guests on the show for this health transformation audit. So we would love to hear from you. Click the link in our show notes or head on over to our website, theartoflivingwell.us, and sign up for your 15-minute health transformation audit. And now we are excited to share with you today's guest, Mara Smith. Mara is a former attorney, corporate strategist, and stay-at-home mom who is the founder of Inspiro Tequila. Mara began her legal career at a large law firm in Chicago before joining the corporate strategy team at a Fortune 100 company. After her twins were born prematurely, Mara decided to leave the corporate world to focus on her family. She never stopped thinking about what was next. She always envisioned running her own company, and in February of 2020, she set out on her journey to create a new tequila brand. Mara started drinking tequila when she was looking for a clean, gluten-free spirit that fit into her active lifestyle. She searched for a tequila brand that was additive-free with a look, taste, and aroma that appealed to her as a consumer. The perfect tequila did not exist, so she decided to create her own. The goal was not just to create a one-of-a-kind tequila, it was also to bring another female voice to the spirits industry. Women are involved in every aspect of Inspiro Tequila's process, from creating the taste profiles to getting bottles on the shelves. As a female founder, Mara's mission is to inspire and support other women on their entrepreneurial journeys through financial support and also mentoring. This conversation was so fun, and especially after both Stephanie and I got these bottles of Inspiro Tequila from Mara ahead of time, so we had some time to taste it, and we loved learning about her additive-free tequila and how she created this tequila and brand and how she's really bringing the female voice into the spirits industry. Mara really explains the differences between an additive-free brand like Inspiro and other tequilas. And also she talks a little bit about what it's like to be a woman in a very much male-dominated industry. We talk about a few different ways that Mara likes to drink the tequila and also how Stephanie and I have experimented with it as well. And this is just such a fun conversation. So welcome, Mara. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, Shield Your Body. Shield Your Body is a company that makes products to shield your body against electromagnetic frequency, or EMF radiation, from modern technology. Did you know that all modern technology is a source of EMF radiation? Cell phones, laptops, Wi-Fi, even your refrigerator is a source of EMF radiation. And each year, we are exposed to more and more EMFs.
There are literally thousands of high-quality, peer-reviewed scientific studies demonstrating clear links between exposure to EMF radiation and a wide range of negative health effects, from anxiety and infertility to sleep disruption and cancer. Fortunately, there are easy ways that you can reduce your EMF exposure right now that cost you absolutely nothing. After reading the Shield Your Body guide, I stopped using my AirPods, something I used daily for hours sometimes, and have switched back to the old school wired headphones.
And for me, after reading the Shield Your Body guide, I really put my foot down and insisted that my kids keep their cell phones and their laptops out of their bedrooms at night while they were sleeping. And I've been working on Jordan as well. And I think after reading the guide and listening to our podcast, he has finally agreed to do that. So download your copy of a free guide at shieldyourbody.com to start improving your health right now.
And be sure to check out our episode number 123 with our Blank, CEO of Shield Your Body.
Hi, Mara. Stephanie and I are really excited to have you as a guest on our show today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and for sending us each a bottle of your delicious Inspiro Tequila. We have both really enjoyed drinking and serving it and making fun cocktails this summer. So everyone has a story, and we would love to hear in a nutshell about your journey on how you went from a legal career at a large law firm to working in corporate strategy in a Fortune 500 company to ultimately creating your very own perfect tequila called Inspiro. We love the name, by the way.
Thank you. Yes. So, it's kind of those major pivots, and I don't think I ever foresaw this as far as becoming a tequila brand owner, but, yes, I started my career after law school, in a really large law firm in Chicago, and it was great. I got a ton of experience really quickly. And it was really a great learning environment. And I enjoyed it a lot. But once I started thinking well, I might want to start a family. At that time, I just did not have any role models to see how a woman could do that and balance family with a career at a large law firm. Unfortunately, there were no women partners in my entire department, and so I just didn't have anyone to kind of like look to figure out how that can be done. And really, my option was to go part-time, but that would really mean working kind of full-time, but just being paid for part-time. And it would take me off the partnership track, which I didn't want to do. And it also would mean really not getting the kind of big, sexy deals that I enjoyed working on. So I thought, I'm going to leave and try and go to the business side of things. My undergrad was a business degree. I had a CPA. So I thought I'm going to try and transition and go on the business side. So I went to McDonald's Corporation to work in their corporate strategy and business development group. And that actually sparked my entrepreneurial spirit. It was a really exciting time. It was kind of a new group. I was studying consumer trends and looking at customer insights. And I found like the whole ideation process of trying to come up with concepts and ideas for this big corporation really fascinating. In fact, it sparked my entrepreneurial spirit so much that I started looking into opening my own branch of a ice cream franchise. Not the best fit for Chicago weather. So I decided not to go that route, but I started thinking about ideas. What could I do? What could I start on my own? And, but my corporate career came to kind of a screeching halt. So at the time I became pregnant with my oldest children, who are twins, and I was put on emergency bed rest. And that was really the last day of my professional career there, because once I had preemie twins, I made the decision to stay home, and I thought they needed my attention. I'm very fortunate that I was in the position that I could make that decision, but that's kind of what I I decided at that time. And really, that was probably the most major pivot in my life, more than even starting a tequila company, because I don't think I ever saw that coming. I don't think anyone who knew me ever saw that coming. I was super, super focused and driven and pretty like myopically focused on how do I excel? How do I succeed? How do I get to the next level? So that was a big turning point for me to make the decision to stay home. And but while I was home, I became, the CEO of my house and took that job just as seriously. But I always knew I was going to go back and do something, and I knew I was going to be starting something on my own. And when I would think of ideas and ponder, what it would be, kind of one of those really devoted, Shark Tank fans, listening to how I built this, lots of podcasts, loving to hear founder stories. It really inspired me. And I just kept coming back to tequila. So I've been a tequila drinker for years. I think I was looking for a spirit option that just fit into my healthier, more active lifestyle, being gluten-free for over 10 years. And I found that with really high quality tequila, I would feel better, than if I drank wine or things that had a lot of sugar in them the next day. And it just became my drink of choice. This was like a clean option. And I started discovering that so many women were telling me that they are also tequila drinkers. I thought, okay, all these women drink tequila. Why are brands not focused on this consumer? And I started doing a lot of research and discovered that half of tequila drinkers are actually female. And I just didn't think that, there was a brand out there that appealed to me and other thoughtful consumers like me who care about what we eat and drink and the brands we support. I thought everything from the look, the bottle design, to the taste profile, to the aromas, to how it's marketed, traditionally using, scantily clad women and dark club scenes that just did not resonate with me. So I just thought there was an opportunity here and to come up with something different. And so I founded Inspiro Tequila in February of 2020. And I thought there was also an opportunity to really make an impact here. So there are so few women in the spirits industry. And if I was going to go back in the workforce and do something, I wanted to be able to make an impact. So I thought here was an opportunity to really bring another female perspective to the industry by having women involved in every part of our process, from our legendary master distiller in Mexico to the women responsible for operations, sales, and marketing. So I thought here we could bring really a female voice to an industry where there are not that many female voices.
Well, wow. I love your story. And I can relate so much to your earlier days in the law firm, because I know you said you were a CPA, which was, I always say I'm a recovering CPA, and I can feel you with like wanting to have a family and working part-time. And I tried to do that as well. So I can relate so much. And I love how you've always, it seems like, had this entrepreneurial spirit, like listening to how I built this and all those founder stories. So it seems like this was like your calling. At some point it was going to inevitably happen through your journey. So thank you for taking us through that. So can you talk a little bit about the difference between an additive-free brand like Inspiro and other tequilas? And I think for a lot of women out there, like you said, there's 50%, the tequila drinkers are women, but a lot of us still have this notion in our head of like really bad tequila, maybe on spring break in Mexico sometime in our 20s. And that's like up until maybe 4 years ago when I started, enjoying tequila, like a tequila blanco. That's what I had. And I would just stay away from it because that was like my last memory, and it wasn't a good one. Right. So can you talk a little bit about,
Yes,
the additive-free component of yours?
And I think there's two different things there. So I think the tequila that people have PTSD from is generally a mixto tequila and not 100% agave tequila. So
what did you say?
Tequila,
what was the word?
It's a mixto tequila and not 100% agave tequila. So it means that, so to be 100% agave tequila, it has to be manufactured and bottled in certain regions of Mexico. It's kind of like it's Appalachian origin, just like kind of how champagne has to be can only be produced in the region of Champagne. So that's the first kind of like the test is you want to make sure it's 100% agave tequila. So if it's not, and it's a mixto, it means that only 51% has to be agave and 49% can be like other sugars or grains. And that's generally the kind of tequila that made you not feel well. Those are kind of lower end tequilas. Even when you're 100% agave tequila, though, what I discovered when I started doing a lot of research, which I did not know about, is that many, many tequila brands use additives. So here I thought I was drinking tequila because I really wanted this like clean drink option. It's clean spirit. And lo and behold, I didn't realize that the brands I was drinking actually use additives. So coloring, flavoring, glycerin, and really most of the brands that we know and love. So when I set out to do this, I'd done a lot of customer research. We ran focus groups. We did a survey to really understand what these women's taste preferences were, what types of brands they like, what they're looking for in the, in the taste of their tequila. And I said, can we develop that? Sweeter notes, really easy to drink, a smooth tequila, but can we do that without using additives? So really, I tasked Ana Maria Romero Mena, who's our master distiller, and to do that. And she was able to kind of see that through and have it come to fruition by a really meticulous and thoughtful process of how our tequila is made. And actually the fact that we have even our Blanco, we rested in barrels for a really short time. And that enabled it to add like the sweeter notes to the taste profile, like vanilla and caramel. It also has like a little bit of hints of like citrus and mint, as well as take a lot of the bite off the back end. I know both of you and you try to notice that very little, there's very little bite in this kind of dangerously easy to drink. So that's kind of what helped that with the kind of our process uses proprietary yeast strains to get some more berry notes, and then the resting in barrels. So I think we got the kind of sweeter aromas and notes, but unlike a lot of brands, it was without adding things that would add vanilla and caramel and sweetness that are, additives as opposed to just how you're, working the process with 100% agave.
So I have a question about that. I'm so curious. So first of all, when you were doing your research, how did you know that certain makers were adding additives? Was that on the bottle, or did you have to like dig in to find that? Like if I have a tequila downstairs that's not Inspiro, would I know that it had all these additives in it, or would I have to dive deep to figure that out?
You probably would not know. So the reason people don't know is because it's allowed in Mexico by the CRT, which is the governing body for tequila in Mexico. So you're allowed to add up to 1% of additives in an aged expression. That's something that's been like in barrels. And then actually you also are allowed to add there's certain like kind of like regulations and things, but you can add additives to a Blanco as well. So you would not know because it does not have to be on the label. Some of them have it on the label. If it's on the label, that it's actually even above the 1% level. So if you see like, with vanilla flavoring or something, that that's even in excess of that. When we started this process, a group down in Mexico called Tequila Matchmaker, and they're amazing people and really kind of tequila loyalists who they wanted to see the traditional processes, adhered to and the tradition in tequila. So they came up with a confirmation process. So we actually are confirmed additive-free by them. And if you go to their website, Tequila Matchmaker, you can look up any brand and it will show you if they're confirmed additive-free or not. So they actually are running this additive-free confirmation process. And right now it looks like, about fewer than 10% of tequilas are confirmed additive-free.
So that's so interesting because you're telling us that you created this tequila that's easy to drink, that's smooth, that has this natural sweetness to it. I think it tastes phenomenal. I've had a lot of different tequilas. Like, why wouldn't everybody want to go additive-free? I don't understand.
It's more time consuming, just frankly. So, we're a new small brand. We have the ability to be really kind of thoughtful in our process and with this meticulous process and how we do it. Larger brands who maybe use quicker methods. And younger agave, we use mature agave we have certain maturity requirements, certain sugar level content requirements. So if you want to kind of circumvent that and use younger agave that doesn't have maybe all the sweetness that you would want, and the sugar levels, but you want to do it more quickly and have your process go more quickly, then you use additives to kind of make up for it and make up for the taste. And it's also easier, frankly, probably for consistency purposes, right? If you're kind of starting with something a little more neutral and just using additives, you can create the same thing over and over and over. And it's not traditionally, if you're using traditional processes, there are going to be slight variations each time. I mean, we have a process, we have a recipe, we follow the specifications, but we're not adding anything to it. So one time, maybe it's going to be slightly, nothing perceptible, to a lay consumer. But I think that's probably, if you're just kind of like churning it out more quickly, it's easier to do it that way and use additives to get the product kind of like where you want it without kind of taking all the time. Our process for a Blanco is extraordinarily long. Like it takes us about, over 2 months, 2.5 months just to create a Blanco tequila. And many people are creating their reposados in that amount of time and aged variation. So, and our reposado, which just was released, our roasted reposado, that's also confirmed additive-free. And that, took much longer because we are using rosé barrels to age that and finishing in Pinot Noir barrels. And that's really unusual because it does have this rose gold hue. And most often, if you see that kind of color and a pinkish color, that means that coloring's been added. So the fact that we're able to do it and create that color, but without using coloring on our additives is also, I think pretty remarkable. So.
Yeah, it is. Really cool. And it reminds me of, think about wine too. And Marnie and I have talked about like clean wine on this show, several times. Just the mass-produced wines and what they have, the additives and the colorants and all that, because they're trying to get a lot of bottles out there and they want them all to taste the same. So very similar. Yeah. It's just you're really staying true to your goals and your vision for this brand to be a clean, additive-free product. And we want to dive in and talk about the new rosé reposado. But before we do that, can you touch a little bit on what this journey to create this tequila as a woman has been like for you, given that you said it's such a male-dominated industry?
Yes. So I actually think entering the spirits world, my biggest hurdle was really not being a woman in the industry. I think one, it doesn't faze me that much because I've been in all male-dominated industries. We talked about this. I was in, accounting. There weren't that many accounting majors when I took it. Before that, I was an engineering major. And then I was a big law firm in transactional law. So I think that maybe part didn't faze me as much because I've always been kind of like one of the, few women in the room. Mm-hmm. What I think I found more surprising was that it's a very like insular industry. Like everybody seems to know each other. So coming in as an outsider was really my biggest hurdle, not having experience in the industry. Lots of people have been in for a long, long time and worked their way up through the industry. So, gaining respect and earning credibility as an outsider, I think has been difficult. My way of kind of overcoming that was to just do as much research as possible and to become as informed as I could. So I think I probably went a little bit above and beyond as far as the amount of research I did to prepare. Everything from webinars, reaching out to industry experts, listening to podcasts. I took a course offered by the CRT in Mexico to be certified in the production and history of tequila. So I did as much research. I wanted to understand the players, the landscape, process, everything I could understand about the industry, because I thought that was where I really needed to kind of like earn the respect of people who've been in it for a really long time.
We are so excited to share with you our brand new Health Transformation VIP Day. This inaugural experience that we've created just for you will take place on Thursday, August 4th from 12 to 3 p.m. Central Time. Our new VIP Day is for you if you want to dedicate time to sit down, create a vision, identify roadblocks, and formulate a simple plan to achieve your goals in just one afternoon. If you want to uncover what's holding you back from achieving your ultimate health and happiness, and find a doable path forward that will work for you.
That sounds so awesome. So I'm excited about this. What about you guys? Are you ready to reach your most pressing health and wellness goals and discover your personal art of living well? Group members will feel really ready to jump into their personalized plans armed with the tools and confidence that they need. We can't wait to have you join this beta VIP Day group. And it's going to be on August 4th from 12 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is a virtual gathering. And for more details, click the link in our show notes or head over to our website, theartoflivingwell.us. And we cannot wait for you to join us.
That's amazing that you did that. It's, because a lot of people just want to start a business and they just want to go and do it. And they don't necessarily want to learn everything that you did. So that's amazing. And you talked about a lot of your business being run by women, which is obviously really important to you. Can you talk about this a little bit more and why it's been so important for you to inspire and empower other women?
Yes. Well, I think there's a few parts of this. One, this was my reentry into the workforce, right? And as we know, women who've been out of the workforce and have a gap on the resume for 2 or more years, the rates of being able to get a job are abysmal. So I feel like instead of trying to pound down someone else's door, I just built my own door. And for me, it was important then to give other women the opportunity to be part of that and have a voice in it. So, my head of operations, she was a stay-at-home mom of 3 children who I kind of took out of that role. And I said, I wanted her. She had experience. And I said, I don't care when you get the work done. I don't care if it's late. She sends emails very, very late at night. I don't care when it is. I don't care if it's early morning, late at night, whenever it is around your schedules. If you get it done, great. So I thought there was that part of it. For me, it was essential that the person creating the taste profiles, I really wanted a female master distiller. So I had searched high and low for that. I read a book on the women in tequila, very small book, and discovered all the women who either owned their own distilleries or are master distillers. And when I came across Ana Maria Romero Mena, who developed the aroma wheel in tequila, identifying 600 aromas in tequila and where in the production process they're produced. I really wanted her because I thought aroma for this particular consumer was also going to be really important. So to me, it was important that we could bring an all-female team and voice. So my head of sales and marketing, I have an all-female advisory board. If I was going to say that I was doing this and bringing this perspective, I didn't think it would be very authentic if it was just me as a figurehead. And then my main advisor is, a man who's been in the industry for a long time. And he's the one who's advising me on all this. I thought it was really important to have that perspective all the way through. And frankly, men love the tequila, but we're trying to talk to a female consumer, and who better to, find them, reach them and relate to them than, we are the consumer. So I felt like we're best to be able to understand who this consumer is. And it's not that it's to the exclusion of men. It's just that there are almost 2,000 brands that focus on a male consumer. And I think there's room for, some brands that focus on a female consumer as the primary, drinker.
So in terms of the tequila itself, what is your favorite way to drink it?
So I'm very simple. I drink a tequila on the rocks with a little bit of soda. And that is, so we have amazing, fantastic recipes on our website, on spirotequila.com. People come up with great recipes for us. I'm not a fabulous cocktail creator, and I really like it. It's easy to drink, and my preferred, drink is literally on ice with a splash of soda. I don't even add garnish. I don't squeeze any fruit. Like, that's how I like it best.
Well, I just want to echo, those recipes on your website are delicious. And I love that they're like really fresh. They're creative. I mean, I haven't made all of them, but I was having some girlfriends over. I think I mentioned this before we were recording, to open up the bottle, and I printed out a whole bunch of them. And, I just did a couple of things different. Like, I'm going to cut up some grapefruit just for, a little bit of extra. And I did you have I usually don't do a lot of simple syrups, but you have a recipe for just honey and water, super simple. So it was just a honey-based simple syrup. And I made that and just like a little dollop of it. Not that you needed it, but it was kind of fun to mix it up. And I mean, everyone loved it. They're like, this is so smooth. Like you said, very little bite. It got rave reviews. So I just thought I would share that ears as well. Yeah. And this is like your ideal demographic was in my kitchen. So.
And I did mine when I also had a couple people over, and I did it completely different. So I served it with kombucha, mixed with kombucha. And it was really good and light. And I just loved how smooth it is, because I often can't drink tequila because I just am like, the bite is too much for me. So this goes down really easy.
Yeah. And we try and show it in like clean ways. Like, bottom line is, if you put tequila in a big sugary margarita, you're still not going to feel great the next day. So we really try and show like clean ways that you can drink it, with fresh fruit and herbs and things like that don't require, like kind of really sugary bases. And like, you notice we don't really use many liqueurs or things like that in our recipes. We try and keep them really kind of clean and simple, because I think people want to be able to make a drink fairly easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the reason why your mission for starting this company, you don't want a clean, additive-free product that then you're going to dump a bunch of additives and sugar into it. So it just goes along with the brand, and it's your demographic out there. That's what we want. We don't want to wake up with a headache the next day. We want to be able to have a drink or two, and be able to sip it and enjoy it. So, yeah.
Can you tell us like a funny story or a situation that maybe you've encountered in your work recently? Maybe it involved tequila shots. Maybe it didn't involve tequila shots.
Probably no tequila shots, but oh gosh, there are so many adventures every day of things that usually things that go awry that we have to figure out, quick problem solving. But I do have one story, and this was really, so we went down for our first tasting, and it was really exciting. And we were going down to Mexico. We couldn't go through all of COVID. So my husband came with me. We went in May of 2021. We were finally going to taste like the final samples, and there's samples set on the table. And it was like a surreal moment, but we'd been traveling to get to Mexico from where we go in Guadalajara from Chicago. You have to take 2 flights. You have to go through Houston. Like, it was we left like early in the morning, got there, hadn't eaten, went super hot. Anyway, so we're like kind of drained. We get the 4 samples. It's hot in the room. Anyways, my husband, there's like a glass next to it. And at the end, he's like, wait, he's like, he had drink that he thought was one of the samples. I'm like, no, that was the vodka you were supposed to rinse your mouth with in between the samples. So he's like, wait, how about this sample? I'm like, oh no, you're supposed to rinse. She gives you vodka to like rinse in between. So he drank like all the samples and the vodka. He was, not in the best situation. Like, because we had been traveling all day and eating. I was like, oh gosh, you're not going to be. But it was just funny. I was like, wait, you didn't pay attention to the directions. Like, you weren't supposed to drink that. You're supposed to switch that in between.
Oh, that is so funny. See, I didn't even know, like I've done wine tastings, but I didn't know about that ritual when you do tequila tasting.
Yeah. So that's how Anna Maria, she ran a really formal tasting, which was amazing, like learning from her.
Yeah.
But first she did a whole aroma kit where we were trying to identify aromas. I'm actually running a tasting like that tonight for a whole group of women. I'm really excited. where I pass around aromas around the table, and we have little cards, and they try identifying what the aromas are to see if you can identify, that, and then figure out what you smell in the tequila. So it's really,
I love that.
Really fun. Yeah. So I started doing that in some of our events, but, yes, there's certain crackers on the table, and there's the glass of vodka, but so that's kind of, one of our funny moments that he drank the glass of vodka, and I'm sure he did not pick that as one of the good samples, since I don't think it tasted good.
Right. Exactly. So, for all our listeners out there who have this sort of entrepreneurial itch or longing to start their own business, or maybe they're like serial entrepreneurs, can you share what's been like a super positive aspect of launching your business, or maybe just advice in general you have for women who are trying to get out there and maybe get into a business or an industry like yours that you don't, it has a small inner circle, or it's dominated by men, and it's not like super easy to enter?
So I say the first thing is you just have to do your homework. I mean, I don't think there's any way to get around the hard work. Research, and be prepared. And there are so many resources that are available, though. There's webinars, there's podcasts. I learned a ton from listening to other founders on podcasts. I just think there's, books, there's newsletters that I follow and read to get an idea of what's going on specifically in my industry. I also read things that have to do with marketing and digital marketing, and even how newsletters should come out, So I just think to learn, there's so many aspects of starting. It's one, learning the industry you're going to enter. And then you need to learn like all the aspects of starting a business, right? I understand like, what are tools and software for bringing on employees? How do you get barcodes? But it's all really at our fingertips, but it's a ton of work. I mean, so you have to be willing to kind of put that work in to get up to speed, but you can do that, I think, fairly quickly. I think the other piece for me was really also to establish a network. So as much due diligence as you can do on your own, you need a supportive community to really, I think, help you. It's a very lonely, kind of lonely endeavor being a solo entrepreneur. And I really think you need to build a supportive community around you. And I've just found so many amazing networks of women who are collaborative, who are supportive. If you put an ask out, you get responses. And it's been, actually, I'd say that's part of the, most exciting pieces for me, is I have connected with the most extraordinary, female founders and leaders. And I feel like I learn from every single conversation. So I follow up with every introduction. I'm happy. I feel like you can learn across industries. So I look often to other verticals, not my own industry, to kind of see how people are doing it and what their best practices are. And, maybe they have an agency that would be really helpful for me. They could be in a totally different, area. They could be in beauty, and they found someone who's great that would be helpful for me. So I think building that really kind of collaborative network. Again, though, I'm going to say be prepared as well. So when I reach out, I'm very specific. I've done my research. I know who they are. I am asking something specific about them. I said, I listened to you on this podcast. I love your message about this. Or I read your book on, I was being introduced once to an author at a book signing. It was right before everything shut down for COVID. And I remember I ordered her book and read it 2 days before I went to the book signing to make sure that I could ask intelligent questions when I went there. So that's what I would say. I'm very responsive when people reach out on LinkedIn, especially to me, because I'm more active probably on LinkedIn than other social media, but LinkedIn, Instagram, I always respond. But I'm always so much more excited to respond and talk to someone when they said, I listened to you on this, and this story really inspired me. And can you connect? Or I talk about how I have an all-female advisory board, and someone reached out like, that's so interesting to me. I'd love to learn how you built an advisory board and what you look for and how you did that, And I'm like, sure. And I set up a Zoom with them. But I think you're going to get a lot more response from people if you go in and are really thoughtful about it and I always tell people, especially, kind of younger people starting out, like, don't reach out and say, can I pick your brain on something? Like, come in and ask something really specific about what you want to learn from them. And I also generally try and just, give some information back. I mean, even if someone's way ahead of you in the game, there's probably something I've learned. There's something I've done that can be helpful for them. I'm because I'm exhausted my research, I probably interviewed 30 different agencies just to find a social media agency. I mean, so you can ask me about any of them and I'm like, oh, I looked into them. So, I think go in with that also, that people are open. I found that people are receptive. People want to help. And, most of the people you reach out to when you come in really purposefully and with something specific are going to, be willing to connect.
I think that's great advice. And I know Stephanie and I, from our own experience with our podcast, when people reach out to us and they're like, oh, you should have me on your show, but they've never listened to the show. They have no idea who we are, what we do, what we talk about. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Whereas, when someone does their homework and they're interested and they're engaged, it's so much more interesting and exciting to engage back with them and to have a conversation with them. So I really do think that's great advice. And even to young people that are just starting out in their careers.
Absolutely. I think that advice can go a long way for people in many facets of their life, not even just starting a business, right? So as we start to wrap up this conversation, this has just been so much fun, and we want to make sure people can connect with you. So can you share where people can find you, where they can buy Inspiro Tequila, and maybe even, I know the new Rosa Reposado one that's available now, right? You said it
is. So our Rosa Reposado was just released. It's a really exciting new expression of tequila. It is the first tequila that has been aged in rosé wine barrels. So I had to scour the earth to find rosé wine barrels. So I happen to really like rosé wine, but I don't feel good after I drink wine, as we discussed. So I thought, is there a way that I can use rosé wine barrels with tequila? So, I think that's one of those things where I was told, like, okay, give up already. They don't exist. And I kept at it, and we found rosé wine barrels in the south of France. So we have French rosé wine barrels. And we were able to age our tequila in it and then finish it in Pinot Noir barrels. So if you see it online, you'll see it has this really beautiful rose gold hue, and it has a really rich and complex taste profile. It's very unique. And right now, so we are online on inspirotequila.com. We also just launched on reservebar.com online, and in certain markets, they actually have same day delivery in certain markets on Reserve Bar.
Okay.
And we launched in Illinois in retail. So across Illinois, we are in a number of retailers. So for any of the Illinois listeners, if you go to our website, you can find out and see which retailers we're located in on Inspiro, INSPIRO, tequila.com. It has a find us on there so you can see where we're located, locally in retail, and it has a request us. So you can also submit a request us to your local retailer to tell them that you want Inspiro Tequila. And then you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Mara Smith. That's my favorite form of, I don't know if it's called social media, but, and then on Instagram, on Inspiro Tequila, and I'm on Be Inspired by Mara. But I'm not great at social media, as we said, so it's my attempt. But you can find us, and we're on, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Inspiro Tequila on all of those platforms.
And we'll link all that up in the show notes. And then you also have a coupon code that you're offering for our listeners.
Yes. So you can receive 10% off online on our website on inspirotequila.com if you use the code LivingWell10.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And we really hope that your next state that you have local retailers is Minnesota, which is just, very close, right? I don't know. I know there's lots of legality with liquor and states and all that good stuff, but hopefully soon. But in the meantime, we can have it delivered to our door. And I've never heard of reservebar.com, so I'm going to check that out.
So they have a big marketplace.
Yes.
Mara, as we wrap up this conversation, one question we like to ask all of our guests is, what does the art of living well mean to you?
For me, I think it means doing really small things that energize me and make me happy and trying to appreciate them in the moment. So as opposed to thinking it has to be like kind of all or nothing or really big or a full, like relaxing vacation or spa day. I think, the fact that I make my matcha every morning, and I take the time to make it, and kind of like the traditional way and really, and enjoy it. Even that little moment to me, it energizes me and makes me happy. And I try to kind of appreciate those little things. Told you before we started, like today's a beautiful day out in Chicago. We don't have that many perfectly sunny days, low humidity that are great. So I try and like appreciate that, right? That it's beautiful outside and I can take a walk or something. So I'm trying to really, those kind of little moments. I'm really, really busy. There's a lot going on all the time. So I really think those just small things that kind of energize me and make me happy and trying to like appreciate it at the time.
I think that's so beautiful. And it's such great, just inspiration for others, because we all get tied down in the quote busyness of life, and like starting your day with these rituals, it just probably has a nice ripple effect on your entire day and your outlook and the gratitude that you have, for every little thing that happens, whether it's, positive or, maybe not so great. So
yeah.
It
gives me a good perspective to start. Like even when things are going to go, who knows what's going to happen and how many hurdles you'll face or obstacles in the day. But yes, at least I can, like I have a bird lady put a nest together right outside my window of my kitchen, and there's little baby birds now in it. And even that, every once in a while during my day, I'll get up from my Zooms and everything and go look so I can see the, mom feeding little baby birds. I'm like, well, that's kind of like calming and relaxed me and like brings me happiness throughout the day. So it's just those little things.
And the fact that you're mindful of them and you're noticing them is amazing. And, you're able to step out of your Zoom and take a step back and be like, okay, I'm just going to take a breath and look at the birds for a few minutes before I step back into my job.
I think it's important because you can carve out like small things. If you think it has to be really big and it I feel like then you're waiting so you can do something. Okay, well, it has to be, I have to have an hour and a half to work out. Well, if I can take a half-hour walk or something right after dinner and clear my head, like I'll take it. Great. So it's kind of like whatever you can fit in, even if it's a small, just a small period of time. That's kind of what I try and do because, I am in the startup life and things are hectic and crazy. So it's just finding those really little moments.
Absolutely. I think Marnie and I couldn't agree more with that. And we love hearing that from you and sharing that with our listeners. So
and we
thank
love
you
what
so
you're
much.
Doing.
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming on our podcast today. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you on the shelves, Inspiro Tequila, on our local shelves in Minnesota very soon.
Would love to be there. So thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you so much for listening to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are so grateful that you joined us today.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or anyone else you think may benefit from this information. We'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and tag the Art of Living Well podcast on social media.
If you want more inspiration in between episodes, you can find us on social media at theartofliving_well on Instagram and Facebook, where we will share snippets from our daily lives and our journey to living well.